Well, welcome to Rokani Media Football. It's the Arsenal News Show again here onto the channel. And Rokani David is my name. You can as well call me Abradi. Follow us on Twitter at Rokani Media FB. So it that you get more of the stories that you aren't getting here. Today, we are talking Arsenal making what we call a U-turn transfer for Douglas Luiz. You know him very well. He plays for Aston Villa, very good, talented Brazilian player. And we are talking Nuno Tavares, PSG joining the queue of teams that are really so much interested in signing the player. And lastly, we are having a very huge story coming in from the vice chairperson of Arsenal on why they gave Mikel Arteta a long contract, or whether they had really telescoped that he's really going to turn Arsenal into what it is right about now. Smash the like button close to 400 times, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. Now, where should we start? Okay, let's call upon for more subscribers. We are left with just 80 subscribers to hit 16,000 subscribers, and if at all you really go ahead and obviously subscribe today, you would have gone ahead to help us really narrow that journey that we started at the beginning of this month. So let's subscribe and see to it that we get in 16,000 subscribers before the end of today. Let's start it off with Tom Buckley coming in from The Sun, reporting a story about David Luiz links to Arsenal. He has told us that Arsenal are eyeing a fresh move for Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz and are poised to tussle it out with Spurs to land the player. Spurs will target the Villa man if they sell Højbjerg. Arsenal were keen on Luiz last summer, but the 25-year-old signed a new contract at Villa in January of this year. Now, Douglas Luiz is a midfielder. He literally plays in all the three positions of the midfield. He can play as a central attacking midfielder. He can play as a CDM. He can play as a number 8, like next to the single pivot player at the club of Arsenal. So, when you look at his talent, he's a player that everyone has always loved. You know, he's a really gem of a talent. And he was once at Man City, and Man City just sold him. And Arteta knew about him at Man City, and he's one of those players that you believe Arsenal are really interested in, and their interest is really gaining. But this time round, I don't know how much Villa is going to call in for this player. Is this player frustrated at Aston Villa? Is he not in the plans of the manager of Aston Villa? What is the name of the manager? Unai Emery. And all those questions will be answered very, very soon. When you look at the game that Aston Villa really played with Waswell, I want to see whether he was named Aston Villa. They played the game, I think, on the 15th, and that game ended 1-1. So I want to see whether he was really part of that starting 11 that was named by the manager of Aston Villa, because if he wasn't, then that must be one of the reasons as to why this news has gone ahead to obviously coming through and obviously take part, because Villa is having what we call a compact competitive midfield with the likes of they have Boba Kamara, right? They have McGinn, they have Jacob Ramsey, and every player will always want to be taken as a priority. And if a player is not taken as a priority, it makes it hard for him or her to obviously find himself in a position of staying at the club. And when you look at Arsenal, they're really having huge problems. And what are those problems? Thomas Partey is really making, or is really causing headache to them. That is it. Thomas Partey is causing huge headache to them as the team of Arsenal, because he has not really given them green light that's going to stay at the club of Arsenal. That's why you've seen it that Arsenal is really willing to find themselves in a position of obviously doing the needful. And the game they played on 15th, Douglas Luiz really started and played some good minutes into that Walsall afternoon match that ended 1-1. So, to me, it makes a lot of sense for Arsenal to go in for Douglas Luiz, because of the attribute that Mikel Arteta has always hinted about that made them lose the Premier League title to Man City. All he hints on is all about the physicality and athleticism, especially in the game of Liverpool. If Arsenal really had better players who were really workaholics in that midfield, maybe a Rice, one more addition in there for you, or a Douglas Luiz, trust me, they would have gone ahead to beat Liverpool. They would have gone ahead either to beat Man City at Emirates or at the Etihad. So Arteta knows it very well that he needs in what we call physically athletic players who really put in the work every time is called upon. And when you talk about the technical abilities of Douglas Luiz, that's one of the things that he does better than some midfielders at Arsenal. I think he's more technically gifted than even Declan Rice. Declan Rice is not all that technically gifted player, but he does the basics of the game. And if at all you maintain the basics of the game and you do them consistently, that can really put you in that ilk to be a 105 million player, provided you are English. But for Douglas Luiz, he's a different kind of player who comes in through and obviously scores free kicks, even corners. He scored a corner against Arsenal. He has some good deliveries, and he's a fighter in that midfield. So if at all you are losing Thomas Partey, getting in Douglas Luiz will be a very good decision for Arsenal, because you'll be having three single pivot players: Declan Rice, Jorginho, and El Nini. Sorry about that. So if you have in those three, then you are safe. That is it. So if you add on Douglas Luiz, you can obviously have him in the midfield three of Odegaard, Declan Rice, and Douglas Luiz, because that midfield will go head to head with the midfield of Man United that has Mason Mount, Bruno Fernandes, and Casemiro. The midfield of Rodri, Kovacic, and Kevin De Bruyne, they'll go head to head with it. And I think if Arsenal happen to land this, it's going to be really impressive. But let's wait and see whether it's really going to be one of those midfield signings that Arsenal are really targeting, because they have others. Lavia is one of those they are looking at, but I think with the variety of CDMs they are having, they need a more different kind of player like Douglas Luiz. If you tell me Moise Caicedo, I understand the situation, because Moise Caicedo can play in more than one or two positions at Arsenal. Chiomini is another one that Arsenal might need, and if at all they really get in the monies, they can go for him, as he has the experience that Arsenal has always longed for to get in their team. So that is Douglas Luiz for you, and Arsenal are continuously being linked to more central midfielders and more attacking midfielders. So let's wait and see how that pans out, but whatever story comes next after this on Douglas Luiz will be reported directly onto this channel. That is the Rokani Media Football. And after that, this is one of the stories that most of you have been waiting in for, and it's all about Nuno Tavares. Relevo, coming in from Spain, have gone ahead and confirmed us that PSG want Nuno Tavares to replace Joan Bernat, obviously, and they went ahead to add more onto that, and they said PSG see Tavares as good low-cost backup for Nuno Mendes. Tavares is well positioned to join PSG as not in Arsenal plans. So, you know, West Ham, now PSG, and some other teams in Turkey have gone ahead to show interest in Nuno Tavares. To me, Tavares is a very good player, but I think if at all he doesn't change or improve on his disciplinary issues, he won't really make it to where he wants to be. At Arsenal, he had a brawl with Mikel Arteta. The same applies to Marseille. He broke out with the coach because of breaking what we call the disciplinary codes that he set. But he had an impressive season at Marseille, and PSG, especially what is that man who is really behind the recruitment of all those players at PSG. I've forgotten his name, but looks like he has gone ahead to impress. And when impressed, PSG have gone ahead to obviously talk to Enrique, their new manager, and he has gone ahead to give them green light that really get him in to come and obviously compete with the Nuno Mendes guy who plays for Portugal, whom they signed from, I think, Sporting Lisbon permanently last summer. So it goes all out to whether Arsenal want to sell or not. But the fact is, Arsenal might be willing to sell Nuno Tavares because the left-back position at Arsenal has gone ahead to obviously be clogged with talent. You know, Kientieni, Jakub Kivio, Zinchenko, you know, even Julian Timber can play as a left-back, Tomiyasu can be played as a left-back, and Arsenal are really looking at that. And if at all they get in some £15 million for Nuno Tavares, they can obviously make a profit of close to £80 million from the £7 million money they bought him from Benfica, that is from Portugal. So Tavares is one of those players that Arsenal are willing to cash in for, and they are willing to raise more money, especially if at all you want to raise the bar. That is it. If you want to raise the bar to the next level, then you have to let players like Tavares go. If at all Mikel Arteta has finally confirmed that the guy does not suit his playing style. If at all he does, then you have a reason. You have all the reasons to keep him. If he doesn't, then you have no reason to keep him at the club. And Arsenal's gone ahead to do that. But there is one factor that is going to accelerate this move. You know, Arsenal couldn't sell Tavares, right, after signing him last summer, part one, because he came in through the summer of 2021. So he played one season at Arsenal, and so last summer they couldn't really sell him because it sounds ridiculous, because that shows poor business done. It leaves lots of holes into the transfer and who made that decision, because if a club sells a player 1 year after his arrival, then that means their recruitment department has questions to answer. But him spending 2 years at Arsenal, one full season of 2021-2022 at Arsenal, and the other season of 2022-2023 away on a long season loan, even if they sell him now, it won't raise any dust at Arsenal. So Tavares is up for sale, and West Ham and other teams, Arsenal wanted £15 million. Could they call for 20? Because he excelled into the League One, and the team that really wants him is in League One. All that is left there at the compost table in PSG to sit into that they really tell Arsenal the exact amount of money they are willing to offer for Nuno Tavares. But he is a very good player, and I think he just wants to obviously see himself play football elsewhere. Will he also accept to be an understudy of Nuno Mendes, his fellow countryman? We wait and see how that will pan out. Now, let's go to Tim Luiz, the executive vice chairperson of Arsenal. He has gone ahead and referred to us. He has gone ahead and explained to us on why Arteta's new contract came in late in 2021-2022. They said, we didn't think he was on a contract that reflected his contribution or whether he was in the marketplace, and we wanted to get ahead of the curve. We also knew he had a seriously talented guy on his hands. I think we all see that. So Mikel Arteta is a manager who went ahead to sign more 3 years at Arsenal, and Arsenal have gone ahead to see that decision bear fruits in a space of just 1 year. And we look at Mikel Arteta, he has taken Arsenal back to the days they were in, back in the Champions League. 7 years, they last played the Champions League in 2016, and here they're back with Arsenal improving on their revenues, having one of the most valuable squads in the world. By the way, they top it with 1.2 billion euros. It shows you how he's going to elevate the squad of Arsenal. So as it stands, it obviously shows you that he hasn't gone ahead to spend a lot of money, but he has gone ahead to add value to the players that has gone ahead to obviously inherit into that Arsenal side. For example, Ramsdale, they bought him for close to 40 million euros, and now he goes for close to times 2, that is 80 million euros. Bukayo Saka, coming from the academy, adding value to him, and is valued at 120 million euros. William Saliba, a player they signed for 19, I think like 20 million euros, he has now almost multiplied it by, is it 5, is it even 8, because he's valued at 100 plus million euros. When you look at Jesus is another one who has really signed for like 60 million euros and is now at like 80, 90 million euros. Martinelli, they signed him cheaply from Brazil. He's a player that is worth 100 million euros. So it's not as going to hate to sign in very many players, because when you look at the players going to hate to sign to sign a lot of money. Declan Rice for 105 million pounds. Kai Havertz 67 million pounds. That is 172 million pounds. Ben White 50 million pounds. That is like 220 million pounds. And who else has Arsenal gonna hate to sign a lot of money? Jesus Gabriel 45 million pounds. So he has not gonna hate to sign very many players that can really see themselves reach 1 billion euro, but he has gone ahead to improve those at Arsenal and has made them more valuable, and his squad is the most valuable team in the world. So that's what I had for you here onto the Rokani Media Football. Your thoughts onto Arsenal making Douglas Luiz transfer U-turn are welcome in the comment section below. What crosses your mind when you hear that Tavares is being tracked by PSG? Do you think PSG are really going to go ahead and really meet the realistic evaluation of Arsenal? 15 minimum, that is the bare minimum, all 20 million pounds. And lastly, Arteta contract. Do you think the Arsenal board were wise and they saw ahead that this man might attract a lot of interest from other teams, and they tied him onto a longer contract? All that and more into the comment section below. Juma Karim to the Muslim viewers and subscribers. May Allah bless you and reward you abundantly. Sign out for now. See you later, and I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Let's hit 16,000 subscribers today. You guys don't forget to subscribe. We love you and keep it this channel always. Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye. Rokani David remains my name. Already.